Dies ist der Mautic-Cast. Alles über Open Source Marketing Automation mit Mautic. Und das hier ist dein Gastgeber, Eki Gümbel.
Ja, hallo zusammen. Ich muss mich etwas entschuldigen für etwas Clickbait. Ich konnte einfach nicht anders. Also wir haben heute nicht Michael Jordan.
Schade.
Nummer 23, auch wenn Thomas sich das so gewünscht hat.
Auf jeden Fall.
Nein, wir haben Michael und Jordan, nämlich Michael Wolman und Jordan Erasmus, zwei Mautic-Spezies aus Tel Aviv. Und die sind im Interview, und da kommen wir gleich dazu, zum Thema eingebaute Tools für fortgeschrittene Dinge in Mautic verwenden.
Genau, vorher noch, es gab tatsächlich eine neue Mautic-Version 3.3.3, das ist diesmal ein Bugfix-Release. Und zusätzlich, wenn die Folge erscheint, müsste eigentlich die 4.0 Beta 1 da sein. Das hat sich ein bisschen verzögert.
Genau, also die Bugfix-Releases, die fallen ja regelmäßig raus wie das Brezelbacken.
Ja.
So sagt man das nicht, egal. Das ist schon super. Und ja, das Major-Release, das 4.0er, ist natürlich ein großes Ding und hätte, glaube ich, vor 2 Wochen da sein sollen. Und any day now, hört man so.
Mhm.
Und gut, die Alpha hat vielleicht der eine oder andere schon mit rumgespielt. Zur Beta, da passiert natürlich noch einiges. Nach dieser Beta 1 passiert hoffentlich nicht mehr viel. Da sind wir also schon ganz gut auf dem Weg in Richtung Release. Und alle sind
Zielgerade.
Gespannt.
Ja, genau. In einem Forumspost gibt es einen ganz interessanten Beitrag, nämlich das Thema automatisches Ausfüllen von Formularen, in dem ich praktisch eine URL schon habe, die bestimmte Teile ausfüllt, wie ein Freitextfeld.
Genau, eigentlich ein Thema, was auch in der Mautic-Doku schon vorkommt, also kein neues Feature, bloß im Detail kann es auch mal tricky sein. Und in diesem Forum-Thread, der hier ausgebuddelt ist, da geht die Erklärung nochmal viel tiefer rein und ist vielleicht ganz hilfreich für den einen oder anderen, der es mal ausprobieren möchte. Ich bin mir sicher, das wird auch seinen Weg finden in die offizielle Doku oder in die Knowledge Base oder sowas. Aber für den Moment ist eben im Forum und dann auch in den Shownotes natürlich verlinkt.
Ganz genau.
Generell, vielleicht für alle, die es noch nie probiert haben, es ist schon ein ganz, ganz hilfreiches Ding manchmal. Ich glaube, es ist eines der unterschätzteren Features in Mautic, dass man mit dem Link schon mal gleich Infos mitgeben kann, wie du gesagt hast, Thomas.
Ja, super gut. Genau, dann habe ich einen kleinen Follow-up zu unserer Mautic-Cast Folge 24. Da haben wir uns über den E-Mail-Builder unterhalten. Joey war da das Thema. Der hat jetzt zum einen auf seinem YouTube-Kanal, Link in den Shownotes zu dem Video, ein bisschen was zum E-Mail-Builder nochmal erzählt. Und zum zweiten tatsächlich auch noch den Tipp zu einem Tutorial für das Templating. Da musst du mir gleich helfen, Eckart, MJML. Das wäre auf jeden Fall ein Tipp. Die $15 soll das wohl kosten zu investieren, wenn man mit dem E-Mail-Builder selber was tun möchte im Templating.
Genau, also ich glaube, Joey hat ja manchmal so kleine Mini-Dinger für 2,50 € oder in diesem Fall $15, wo er einfach ein paar Minuten Tutorial nochmal gemacht hat, wie man seine eigenen E-Mail-Templates mit MJML erstellt, also für den neuen Builder. Und das ist knackig, aber bestimmt hilfreich als Einstieg, also knackig im Sinne von ziemlich kurz,
ja.
Aber eigentlich das Wichtigste, was man wissen muss, und dann ist ja auch gut, dann kann man starten.
Ja, genau. Und Joey taucht ja sehr oft auf. Es gibt einen weiteren Kollegen, der immer mal wieder hier auftaucht, der Alex Hammerschmidt. Der war jetzt in einem Interview bei einem YouTube-Kanal Goodbye Matrix zum Thema E-Mail-Marketing-Strategie mit Mautic.
Genau, also Alex und Joey sind ja Teil des Builder-Teams, des E-Mail-Teams. Beide halt vor 2 Folgen gerade im Interview gehabt. Und hier erklärt er tatsächlich nicht nur Mautic, nur mal vom Scratch, sondern tatsächlich auch ein bisschen auf dem Strategie-Level, wie man das wirklich businessmäßig dann gut verwendet. Er ist ja mehr so der Business-Advokat. Hallo, Alex, schöne Grüße. Genau, so, dann ein größeres Ding, was passiert ist, dass die Partnerseite, die Mautic Partner-Seite endlich live gegangen ist. Offiziell nennt sich das Ding das Mautic Partner-Programm. Und man findet also unter mautic.org/mautic-community-partners, sprechender Name, findet man eine Liste von Service Providers, also von Dienstleistern für Mautic. Ja. Die ist relativ kurz noch. Und es gibt klare Kriterien, wie man auf diese Liste kommt. Und das ist absolut ein Meilenstein für Mautic, weil es halt in alle Richtungen eine sehr, sehr coole Geschichte ist und vorher auch total fehlte. Also es kamen immer mal Anfragen so, liebes Mautic-Team, könnt ihr mir einen Partner empfehlen? Und jetzt gibt es halt eine offizielle Ressource, auf die man verweisen kann in diesem Falle. Die Frage ist, wie kommt man auf diese Liste? Es gibt einen Blogpost, wo das erklärt ist, wo die Ruth zusammengeschrieben hat, wie der Stand der Dinge ist. Im Endeffekt muss man bestimmte Mindestkriterien erfüllen und dann gibt es sogar eine Art Reihenfolge, ein Ranking, was jeden Monat neu gemacht wird anhand der eigenen Aktivität, der Contribution, also des Mitmachens im Open Source. Das mag mit ein paar Euro einwerfen und Sponsoring zu tun haben, aber vor allem natürlich mit Zeit und Contribution in den verschiedenen Arten und Weisen. Ne? Das muss nicht unbedingt sein jetzt nur Code, aber Code ist natürlich ein wichtiger Teil. Aber andere Sachen in Teams mitarbeiten oder so gehört natürlich genauso. Doku schreiben ganz wichtig.
Oh ja.
Ja. Ist alles wertvoll, zahlt alles ein, nicht nur aufs Karma, sondern auch für das Listing.
Ja.
Genau. Ja, also ich finde es mega, mega gut. Logischerweise ist es gut für die Leute, die da gelistet sind, für die Firmen, könnten auch mal Freelancer sein. Es ist halt extrem wichtig für Mautic selber, weil man da halt erstmals eine offizielle Quelle hat, wo man verlässliche Partner findet, die auch eng mit dem Projekt sind.
Ja.
Und dieser Algorithmus, also diese Geschichte Contribution führt zu Ranking, ist natürlich auch gut. Ne? Also das ist so ein bisschen, wir haben zu Anfang darüber diskutiert, ist das wirklich der richtige Weg? Führt das nicht eher zu Ausweichreaktionen oder sowas? Ne? Also bewusst ist dieser Algorithmus, wie man das immer macht in solchen Programmen, ist nicht veröffentlicht, weil man sofort in so eine Art SEO-Situation dann kommt. Ja. Ja, Thomas grinst, der alte SEO.
Alt ist das Schlagwort.
SEO. Aber, also, mal Full Disclosure, wir sind natürlich auch auf der Liste, wir sind ja schließlich auch Mautic-Provider und ich muss sagen, uns selber ist das auch ein Ansporn zu sagen, hey, wir wollen ja jetzt nicht ganz unten sein, wo können wir denn noch was helfen? Und das ist natürlich, wenn das anderen auch so geht, absolut genau der richtige Effekt fürs Mautic-Projekt, solange da nicht irgendein Quatsch produziert wird, aber dafür ist das Ganze, glaube ich, auch nicht, also zu unstatisch, zu dicht am Menschen. Ne? Also da wird keiner auf Dauer mit irgendwelchem Bullshit auf Deutsch gesagt, versuchen Punkte zu sammeln und dann damit auch durchkommen.
Ja, also ich muss sagen, wenn ich so mal drauf gucke, als die verschiedenen Zielgruppen, ich bin mal ein potenzieller Kunde und suche was, nur Plus. Ne? Er ist immer ein Mehrwert, an einer verlässlichen Stelle ein Listing zu haben, zu sagen, okay, die sind approved auf irgendeine Art und Weise, ist ein super Einstieg. Ne? Wenn ich als Mautic-Projekt drauf gucke, finde ich es gut gemacht, muss ich sagen. Also auch vor allen Dingen dieser Teil Contribution, nicht nur Geld oder nicht nur jeder kann da irgendwie Self-Service in dieses Listing kommen. Definitiv gut. Ich als Agentur, ja, aber auch ein bisschen so, muss ich ganz ehrlich sagen. Also natürlich, wir so als Leuchtfeuer contributen ja vor allen Dingen aus einem ganz anderen Grund. Ne? Also Open Source an sich ist für uns einfach ein interessantes Thema. Wir glauben da fest dran. Wir sehen einen ganz großen Mehrwert, Code mit zu veröffentlichen, zum Beispiel in dem Projekt mitzuarbeiten, was Konferenzen anbelangt, was Dokumentation anbelangt, was andere Teams anbelangt. Insofern natürlich ist es für uns jetzt so eine weitere Bestätigung zu sagen, okay, Code Contribution zählt auch für das Listing und ist ganz schön. Was nicht entstehen darf, das muss die Zeit dann aber zeigen, ist, ich sag mal, ein wildes Contribution-Rennen zwischen den Agenturen. Also dass es gar nicht mehr um den Inhalt da geht.
Das meinte ich, ja.
Ja, genau. Aber ansonsten, also muss ich auch sagen, Daumen hoch, finde ich coole Sache.
Ja, ich finde das lustig, dass du sagst, wir contributen ja aus ganz anderen Gründen. Wenn man ganz, ganz ehrlich in den Spiegel guckt, der Mechanismus, warum in der Open Source Welt Firmen Contribution machen, ist schon stark geprägt durch, okay, ich möchte auch relevant sein in diesem Umfeld, ne?
Ja.
Das ist auch, ja, ich möchte was lernen und ich möchte mich vernetzen und so weiter, das gehört auch alles dazu, aber ich möchte Sichtbarkeit, ich möchte Relevanz erzielen, ist schon das Ding. Und hier wird das Ganze ja natürlich auf einmal gemessen und an einer einzigen Stelle konzentriert dargestellt. Das ist natürlich nur ein bisschen zugespitzt. Die andere Relevanz geht dadurch nicht verloren, vor allem wenn du jetzt in Spezialbereichen relevant bist. Aber ich glaube, das ist schon der ganz normale Mechanismus, ehrlich gesagt.
Ja, also ist auch eine Komponente, ganz klar. Ne? Aber auch die Komponente, wenn ich einen Teil mit veröffentliche, können andere mit drauf gucken und ich habe die Chance, dass da noch was ergänzt wird.
Ja, das gehört auch dazu, klar.
Ist auch eine Komponente.
Ja, genau. Nachhaltigkeit. Und,
ja, genau.
Ja, definitiv. Ja, wie gesagt, ich finde es auch mega, mega gut. Ich bin mir sicher, das wird auch noch sich weiterentwickeln. Da gibt es jetzt sowas wie Kategorien oder auch geografische Unterteilung oder so, das ist noch alles nicht sehr ausgeprägt. Mehrsprachigkeit, das kann alles nachkommen, aber wichtig ist, dass man anfängt. Und ich finde auch, das ist für ein Produkt, ich sage mal bewusst Produkt und nicht Projekt, halt auch erstmal ein Qualitätsmesser, dass es überhaupt so eine Partnerliste gibt. Bisher schaut man auf die Webseite, sieht tolle Zahlen, aber hat erstmal keinen Eindruck, okay, an wen kann ich mich denn wenden? Und wie oft werde ich gefragt, okay, wir sitzen irgendwo in den USA oder sonst wo, kannst du mir mal einen Tipp geben, an wen ich mich wenden kann? Und das ist natürlich kein Dauerzustand.
Ja.
Jo, das Partnerlisting. Schaut euch das gerne an und wenn ihr selbst auch unterwegs seid als Mautic Service Provider, dann schaut mal, ob das nicht vielleicht der Anreiz ist, der euch bisher gefehlt hat, auch aktiver im Projekt mitzumachen und da auch auf die Liste zu geraten.
Genau.
Es gibt sogar einen Backlink. Hey, Thomas der SEO.
Ja.
Ja, gut. So, wir kommen zu unserem Interview, wie gesagt, mit Michael und Jordan in Tel Aviv. Und ich muss dazu sagen, wir haben das Interview aufgezeichnet, bevor es dort eskaliert ist zwischen den beiden geografischen Nachbarn dort. Ich habe mit beiden nochmal geschrieben gerade, es geht beiden natürlich gut und den Familien etc. Also soweit, so gut. Ich hoffe, dass da auch nichts Schlimmeres mehr kommt. Insgesamt kann man nur weiterhin Kopf schütteln und die Idioten, die das da treiben, zum Teufel wünschen. Aber gut, das geht schon sehr lange und ist gerade nicht sehr aussichtsreich. Aber hoffen wir, dass es sich zumindest für den Moment erstmal wieder schnell beruhigt und irgendwann wieder kühlere Köpfe ans Ruder kommen dort.
Genau.
So, und mit diesen depressiven Worten kommen wir jetzt zu einem ganz tollen Thema, zu einem optimistischen Mautic für Advanced Tasks. Hier sind Michael Wolman und Jordan Erasmus. Yeah, there we go. Hey, welcome to another three-way interview today. I'm very happy to welcome Michael Wolman on the show, better known by Mike W. on the forums. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
And we have Jordan Erasmus. Hey, Jordan. Welcome.
Hey. How you doing?
Very good. Thanks. Glad to have you, and thanks for your time. You're both with Search Media, which is a boutique agency based in Tel Aviv, Israel. And you're specialized in Mautic, I do understand. Before we talk about a ton of Mautic, tell me a little bit about your life before Mautic. So basically, what is your background and all points in your career? And also, because it's two of you, how did you meet and then what happened next?
Sure. So this is Mike speaking. I think that my work life started over 20-something years ago in the internet security arena, and I was part of a few different startups along the way that were dealing with internet security and Linux system administration until 2006, when I entered into the casino arena. And then from 2006 until about 2015, I was a casino affiliate on the one side, and then moved over to a casino operator. Our previous company was acquired by Caesars Interactive Entertainment, and we had the privilege of running Caesars Casino, Harrah's Casino, and the World Series of Poker in New Jersey and Nevada when the US started regulating casino again. At that time, we actually, just a little bit before we joined Caesars Interactive Entertainment, Jordan was working at another company that a friend of mine was working at. And that's actually how we were introduced. And we worked together briefly just before moving over to Caesars. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, we've always been friends since then. And about 2 or 3 years ago, we decided to join forces and start Surge Media.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. It actually, we actually started a brand before that together, which was pretty cool. So there was always a business sense going into the relationship, I think, which was fun.
Cool. You guys, you know what? My start of my career was also in Linux and in security and that sort of things around the century. That was quite an age ago. Wow. Yeah, but
exactly.
I'd like to get back to the casino stuff in a second, but first of all, how did you discover Mautic in the first place, and what were your first steps, and what were the next steps, and where are you today in terms of services and clients and all?
Sure. So a few years ago, I was an external marketing consultant for a bunch of different companies, dealing mainly with marketing automation. At the time, I had used most of the big automation tools out there, whether it be Silverpop, Oracle, ActiveCampaign, even back to the days of Email Vision, if anybody remembers that. And one of the companies I was working with was interested, they had heard about Mautic, and they were interested about using it. And we actually approached Acquire at the time. And that is how I was introduced to the software itself. Eventually, the company did not go with Acquire, but I continued using Mautic. I've come from the open source community in the past, and as Jordan mentioned previously, when we initially started up with a company that was doing influencer marketing, and we used it was very, very cool. It was a great time. And we used the tool in order to communicate both with the influencers and with our clients. So automating the entire process of onboarding different influencers and connecting up influencers with different clients, etc. One of the main reasons that Mautic appealed to me was the open source factor. I was brought up from in the technology world on open source. My first introduction to open source was obviously using Linux, and in one of my previous companies, I needed to build a workflow in order to connect the process of clients coming in and how they go through the company, and I started using Drupal at the time, and this was back in Drupal 5.0, and we built our first workflow over there. So the idea of an open source marketing automation tool definitely appealed to me, and the whole idea of open source is I think it's a great idea. I think it leads to a lot more security, stability, and overall ownership of your software as well.
Yeah, good point. Okay, very cool. And again, your clients today are all the way from here to there.
Sure. B2C, B2B, B2G. Able to kind of customize their needs, or let's say customize the solution that we provide for their individual needs. You know how every client has kind of a specific methodology of sales fulfillment or onboarding, or even B2C fulfillment of sales. You get involved with all different kinds of sales processes. So it's interesting to be able to customize the automation to each customer, and Mautic seems to be able to handle whatever we throw at it. So that's also been fun getting familiar with how everything is achievable. So that's been a lot of fun, getting to know the system and working through its quirks and systems and so on. Coming from the casino side, I previously built up a full CRM and marketing automation platform, along with payment processing and internal marketing and so on, running probably an automation team of about 10 people. And so it was really interesting to see how Mautic could compete even on that level, and really stable. And when you kind of get your feeling around cron jobs and triggers and so on and so forth, and optimization, then you can really do some special stuff. And again, as standalone kind of applications or campaigns, right into automation of transaction emails. So yeah, that's been really fun to get used to.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, because I also see not only governments but also educational organizations using Mautic not so much for marketing but for the workflow capabilities. And it's just a tool set, and then that's of course a starting point. And once they have it, they do more. But given that they've been very hesitant looking at tools like this only 2 or 3 years ago, that's a significant change, at least over here in the EU. Yeah, cool, very good. Well, this casino thing is of course pretty fascinating to everybody outside of it. And I have to admit, I have zero clue about how that works, what's legal, what's ethical, what is being done, what's not, and what is the development over time. But I think I'm pretty sure there's a lot of money involved and a lot of expertise. And beyond the technical aspect, is there any specific parallels or approaches that you could translate into our regular quote unquote marketing online or online marketing world? Any learnings from there?
Maybe I can touch on that for a moment. So basically, with the casino industry, you're dealing with quite a psychological product. So you want to shorten the cycle of the message going to them and make that message as appropriate as possible as they're landing on your website. Mm-hmm. So the real time, let's say, what would we call it in Mautic terms, dynamic content. That engine needs to be working very well and kind of take them through their funnel, which you kind of design for them. And I think it works exactly the same in every industry. Every kind of customer has a conversion cycle or an acquisition cycle, and then a retention cycle, and then probably even a reactivation cycle on churn. So it's nice to be able to cut up those campaign objectives as well into Mautic, and within segments, campaigns, etc., be able to deal with each one of those drop-off points.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And email is by far the most relevant channel that they use, or they have been using, and that you are still using with other clients today. Is that right?
Email and SMS, yes.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I think email and SMS. SMS is obviously an amazing channel. It's a little bit more expensive, obviously. Mm-hmm. You don't have the issue of inboxing really, because any SMS that you send out goes directly to the person. And recently we've seen a lot of WhatsApp starting on the business level. A lot of the providers have got a lot of and a lot of the providers have got a lot of regulations around WhatsApp. There is we actually did a great integration. I think I'm not sure if it was Joey that wrote up an article, or there's somewhere on the forum there is a explanation on how to use a webhook inside a campaign to send off WhatsApp messages via Twilio.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we did talk about that one in the previous show. Yeah, excellent part.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So I that was a great thing that I got out of the out of the community, for example, was learning how to do that. And we actually ran a campaign recently with a financial client of ours that was doing a webinar, And in order to communicate the time and the date and the confirmation of the webinars, they were using WhatsApp. And we did this through segments and through campaigns, including the webhook explanation that was put out there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And when it comes to email marketing, I know you're doing quite high numbers for your clients. Is there any learnings that you can share in terms of scaling or deliverability or whatever?
Well, I think that email marketing has evolved so much from back in the day. I mean, when I started emailing, and it really must have been probably 15 plus years ago, you would send an email out and it would land up in the person's inbox 90% of the time. Today, it's becoming much more challenging to inbox, even for the white email marketers out there today, unless you've warmed up your IP correctly, unless you have relevant content, unless your lists are very, very good. There is always that frustration of seeing a rather low open rate initially. One of the things that we do with all of our clients is when we onboard clients, we obviously do a full check on where the data is coming from, how they've acquired the data, and we actually force them to run their data through our own proprietary verification software that we built ourselves. So we go and we vet the email addresses, and then we will we aren't able to extract the spam traps over there. However, we are able to get a very, very good feel on what is a valid email address, if it's a catch-all address, if it's a full inbox, etc., etc. And I think this is pertinent to good emailing, as well as the messaging, the content that you sending in the emails, and then to have a proper warm-up schedule. And this is actually something that Mautic has done nicely for us. Using the queued emails and the cron jobs, you're able to stagger the amount of emails you're sending per hour or per day.
Yeah.
So if you have a good warm-up schedule, which is generally, I would say, it takes us around 20 days to get up to a speed of about 200,000 emails a day. And we've had clients that purchase data from third-party opt-ins and are looking at sending out millions of emails a day. So obviously over there, you would need to make sure that you have a number of different IPs, warm up each IP accordingly, and get to the numbers that you want.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's always a tough nut, but it's invaluable to, is that the right word? It's very valuable to have all this experience and all those mistakes made once, but not twice. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. And I feel like email is not losing relevance these days. It's still a very hot topic, and a big part of the discussion is always about best ways to deliver email to clients or to customers.
Yeah. Look, I think that being in this business, you need to be with your finger on the pulse. And there has been, I remember recently, about a year or so ago, discussing it with clients, and they were like, well, does email really work that well? And I think that email is one of the consistent forms of communication that has worked in the past and that works today. And we see that every single time we onboard a new client that hasn't been communicating with their database, and all of a sudden they start to communicate with their database and they say, oh, I got a sign up over here. Oh, I got a purchase over here. Oh, I got a lead over here. Wow, this is really cool. So it's nice to see that surprise on their face as well.
Very good.
I think in one word, maybe you could just say it's consistency. Email marketing is about consistency. Whether it's consistency of your messaging or monitoring or reporting or whatever it is. And a lot of people just, they get an idea in their head, run it for two or 3 months if you're lucky, and then kind of just drop it off, right? So that's the really the biggest selling point of marketing automation. is that those campaigns are working for you so long as you keep the funnel filling up and you keep new acquisition and traffic coming through.
Yeah.
Those campaigns are working for you 24/7.
Yeah. Well, as you say, I couldn't agree more. It's about the clients who need to understand consistency, and it's about the proper setup and ongoing fueling. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh well. Let's move on a little bit. And one thing that we first when we first talked, was part of the discussion was the fact that Mautic has so many hidden gems or so many under leveraged corners and niches. And so maybe you can talk a little bit about those built-in features that can be used for advanced tasks, but are rarely. Do you have any examples for what you mean by that?
Oh, there's such simple things that can be done to see kind of immediate results. Simple things that come to mind, according to your example, are like lead qualification, simple lead qualification, let's say notifications, okay? So if a user visits 3 pages and your contact detail is known, notify your sales team to contact that user because he's pretty hot. And you actually have the ability to then go through his browsing history and kind of structure the conversation so that it's not a cold conversation, it's kind of a warm initial call, right? Mm-hmm. Another thing that we can look at is something like a daily follow-up list. So with the contacts management in Mautic, you can actually schedule a campaign to show the salesperson's contacts that he needs to follow up with on a specific day for that specific day only. So he's, exactly.
It's actually sales automation, and some violently argue that that's not the point of marketing automation. And I've seen it discussed frequently, but rarely done in real life. And I'd be curious to learn more about it. So you have scenarios where that is actually being done through Mautic? That's cool.
Definitely, yeah. And we initially did it with tags, and then we moved it over into an actual parameter inside the contact card, where it was just, let's say, more firm inside the contact card as opposed to tags for the sales manager or sales agent to update easily the contact progress through the sales cycle. So that's what's so great about Mautic, is that you can go from really early impression and page visits hits, right, all the way through to deep retention and churn analysis and RFM, recency, frequency, and monetary value for scoring and points. Wow, we've done so much with Mautic in the last 2.5, 3 years. It's unreal, actually, to look back on it. Which is why these calls are great, man. Thanks for setting it up.
Yeah, and I think that also that the one sales process that we set up for a B2G client, we did that on exactly what Jordan was speaking about. We started qualifying leads on the number of times that actually came back to the website, how many page hits they had hit, and we started scoring them. And once they hit a certain score, we would then put this into a follow-up segment, for example. And then the salesperson would come in the morning. He would open up his login, and he would go into the segments. He'd see follow-up. Those were the people that he needed to call. And according to the outcome of the call, whether that was not answered, or they wanted more information, or they wanted a meeting, so it would go into the campaign, and each outcome had a different path inside the campaign and would channel the contact into the appropriate person's inbox afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Forgive me if it's a stupid question, but do you have customers who are using as an actual CRM system, or is that for the actual CRM work? Do you always use connected systems?
So we do have customers that we are trying to get them to use it as a CRM. There is
No,
certain
we have that of using it
limitations.
both. Maybe primarily. Sorry to interrupt, Mike.
No, go for it.
That are using it primarily as a CRM. Not primarily. I think we combine it both with an acquisition and a CRM functionality. But that said, our mutual friends are actually using it as a CRM primarily. So yeah, maybe Mike's right here.
Okay, wow. Whew. Crazy. Any other examples for advanced usage of Mautic features?
Oh, wow, there's so many.
Actually, we have a client. Yeah, we have a client that is running a 21-day challenge at the moment, and we are using quite an intricate campaign over there on the 21-day challenge, where we are using both webhooks and the normal actions inside the campaign, and we're sending data outside of Mautic into an external database where we do specific calculations and then pass this back into the Mautic database and update the leads, and then accordingly different actions will be triggered according to how they're doing during their 21-day challenge. We did build there was somebody that did a great plugin. It was the Referrer plugin. That is a very, very cool plugin. It's actually a gem out there, because the way that it works is that if you have this referrer form on your website, or we let people refer via WhatsApp or any other medium that they want, as soon as somebody puts in their friends' emails that they want to refer, this automatically goes into the database as well, and you can start communicating with these people. Obviously, depending on GDPR and where you are, there are different laws in the US according to the versus Europe. The US is kind of upside down in terms of communication. You can communicate with anybody, however, before getting their permission, all you have to do is provide them with an unsubscribe.
Okay. I'll put the link to this plugin in the show notes. I think it must have been like 2 months ago or so, right, when it was talked about.
I think the plugin was released. The plugin was released probably about 6 months or maybe a year ago. I started using it about 6 months ago. We started using it, and then I started commenting on the specific topic. And then I think that I've mentioned it in some of the posts, and obviously on our blog as well.
Yeah, it must have been just recently that I stumbled upon it, and I'll add it to the show notes, and people know what we're talking about.
Okay, good.
And how did that work for you? This entire campaign with the referral codes, etc.
Amazing.
Really well.
I think there's no better form of marketing than word of mouth. So to have a friend refer you to a specific website or to a specific product or program is much better than any kind of advertising you can have out there today. And I think that's one of the things that people saw with influencer marketing when it started up, is that if I'm happy with the product and I can recommend that to my friends, that's the best validation that any product can actually get.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I was just going to say that tied together with the referral codes, we actually had a client that required a referral code as an invite-only product that they were providing. So that was an interesting combination of a referral code and a coupon code that was unique and individual to that user, so it wasn't able to be transferred to others, which is quite nice. And Mike's done some great stuff with the combining database of those two fields. Maybe you want to chat on that for a sec, Mike.
Yeah. So one of the obstacles that we had with Mautic and using there's a plugin that connects up WooCommerce from Make Web Better. That's the Mautic integration plugin, and the issue we had over there was actually issuing off unique discount codes that would be used once off. And out of the box, the plugin does not provide this. And when trying to come up with a campaign that would allow people to go into, for example, an abandoned cart campaign and be issued a discount code that they can't continuously use, because you want to give it out once and that's it. You don't want him passing this to his friends, or every single time he goes back to the website to use this. So what we did was we created this unique discount code program that was basically written by creating a few different MySQL tables inside a database and a few bash scripts. And I have written quite a simple blog post, I hope, that can explain to anybody to how to go about implementing unique discount codes and passing these unique discount codes back to Mautic so that they can be used to send out to users or contacts that actually qualify for them. That whole explanation is on one of the blog posts on our website, and I think it's also, I think I've mentioned it a few times in the forums.
Oh, and it'll be in the show notes as well, of course. Yeah, okay, excellent. I love that.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's it. That's it about the discount codes, I think.
Oh, okay. What I think sticks out and what I love is that you guys keep talking about technical bits and pieces, and at the same time you really embed that in marketing strategy and in tangible strategy, things that really work and are not just academic, and that's really fantastic. And so when we just skip the technical angle and just look at the marketing part, is there any other tips you want to give our listeners, like what you emphasize on with your own clients and projects? What's your strength? What do you feel is most important?
Sure. We try to sit with our clients as we go into any relationship with them and try to understand their product, understand their kind of profit motivation, and see where we can best support that as let's say, a core principle. Because when we know how they win, then we can help them to win, right? So we go into metrics, we kind of map out how they're going to acquire new customers, or if they are acquiring, where they're acquiring from, and really start to kind of focus on the segmentation and cutting it up and seeing where they need to scale in their business life. If they've had a whole bunch of leads that have come in and they need to convert them, or if they're sitting with a retention issue and churn that they need to address. I think that's what we try to make our USP is our service and kind of just understanding of that. And then actually getting to the reality and getting landing pages set up, emails set up, and kind of implementing it out. Again, consistency is key, right? You want to keep on doing this over and over, and getting people used to seeing you and feeling you top of mind. And then you can introduce all kinds of concepts, whether it's education campaigns all the way through to products on sells and upsells. So that's kind of our methodology. There's no kind of one answer fits all. And it's nice to meet different businesses and different concepts and different sales cycles and strategies and personalities and see what works for each one, I think from a marketing perspective, that's how I'd look at it anyway.
Yeah. It's good to have that sort of experience in the Mautic ecosystem. And again, I think I like your setup a lot. As a Mautic company? Would you describe yourself as a Mautic company? Is that a big part of what you do? Yes. I hope so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's definitely.
Definitely.
What a question.
What a question. Yeah. We talk about infrastructure. That is the infrastructure. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, but seriously, what I was going to say is you basically rely on Mautic being a product with a good future and well, that just does a reliable job and does good things, etc. So obviously, Mautic being a good product going forward is critical. But beyond that, what else would you, if you could, wish from the Mautic project to help you best in growing a Mautic business? What would you, as a Mautic service company, what would you ask for to support your growth?
Okay, so I mean, definitely it's an integral part of our business, and I think that it has an amazing community around it. I mean, coming from the Drupal open source and even the Linux, where it's a little bit harder to actually penetrate into those specific products as a newbie. Mautic itself and the community over there is very open and forthcoming to people coming into the community. And I think that the more the community grows, the more there will be a need to continue supporting the product itself. One of the things that as we're not a development house, however, we do have developers on board. However, when going into a development project, there is a very high cost to learning any new software or framework out there. And I think something that would be really, really great inside the community is to have some kind of crowdfunding ability. There are many parts of Mautic that could be improved on, that could definitely help on usability. I think that you do need to have a little bit of patience and understanding in order to use certain features over there. And if there was money around to actually fund certain projects, and I've seen that there was the project around the email builder that has been brought up, and there's always people that are coming up with really, really nice ideas. However, as it's an open source community, we're very, very dependent on the capable developers out there to contribute their time and their efforts towards Mautic. And obviously, there are the financial constraints around doing something like this. If somebody has a job and they're doing this on their side, or for the good of the community, they can't always contribute X amount of time. And if there was actual money in the pot to incentivize certain people to partake in a specific project, I think that would be great. I mean, I know that Serge is always there to contribute. We've spoken about this on the forum before. I do have a few ideas and wishes that were put out there, and I've said that we're happy to crowdfund it. But if there was a mechanism for crowdfunding, so at the moment there's a mechanism for voting, but maybe people could start pledging. I'm prepared to donate $10 to this project, or I'm prepared to donate $100 to this project, and we could say, okay, our what the community is prepared to pay on development hours is, I don't know, $25, $50, $300, whatever it is. We can then have a look at how much money we're able to fund for a specific project, how many votes there are, and any developer can pick up the project, kind of very similar to Upwork over here.
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because we do have a little bit like that in place already on the GitHub side. But I think it's not yet fully there, and obviously it's not yet visible and not connected to the forums and everything. So that's definitely something that we've been discussing for a month now, and I agree it would be really valuable. It is not trivial because it has many different flavors, but I think we do need it. And I'm very sure that a lot of people out there will be in for giving some money for a certain feature they would love to see. Yeah. So
yeah. Exactly. Even if it's, even if it's, I mean, there are enough people in the community that if, people are even donating $5, $10, I'm sure that, together we could raise a nice amount of money, and I guess the community would have to sit and agree on how much they're prepared to pay on development hours, for example. I'd be happy to get involved in these kind of discussions offline as well.
Okay, yeah, I'm writing this down now. No, honestly, that's a good one. And on the other end of that, I think we're still lacking those developers who are ready to go all in with Mautic and not just be random PHP developers, but really know Mautic inside out and live from jobs like this. And we as an agency could use many more freelancers or developers, of course, employees if we could. And for this sort of sponsored development work and bounty or whatever, maybe that can help to grow the developer base around Mautic and have more consistency there as well. Okay. Good. What else do we have? Any last tips from your side?
I think there are three little tips that I would give to users today when using Mautic. And I think that the first tip is that when testing anything inside Mautic, make sure that you are doing it in a separate browser from where you logged in or in incognito mode. I've seen countless posts about things not working, my form's not working, I'm not able to pass an email parameter to the form, this tracking isn't working, this isn't working, and it comes down to don't do it on the same browser that you logged into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, every few weeks you see the same topic coming up on the forums. I think in different flavors. The next one is obviously the bigger your database, the more resources it's taking on the system that you're using. And if you have specific segments that are holding hundreds of thousands of users, you don't want this segment to be updated all the time. Maybe update this segment only at 12 o'clock in the evening. And the way to do this is by setting up your cron jobs and using the -i flag on your cron job. So if you have segment update -i and then the ID of the segment that you want to update, it'll only update that specific segment at a specific time. So if you have segments or campaigns that need to run at a higher frequency and that are less resource heavy on the system, you can set those to run every 5 minutes or every minute, whatever it is. But the big ones that aren't going to take up your resources and kill your MySQL and slow your site down totally, try run those in the evening when there's not too much traffic going through your system.
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And the last one is to understand where your Mautic error log sits on your server. There is the system log as well from the user interface. However, it's kind of limited in information that it's given out. And if you run into certain problems, that's been my first place to look. And usually I'll run a simple tail command, tail -f. So this will keep it will keep it alive while you're watching the terminal. You can do whatever action is failing, and you'll be able to see the results. And then once you see the results, it's back to Google. And probably 70 to 80% of the time, what you search for specific errors, you'll be able to find. They're either coming up on the forum or on Stack Overflow, but there is a fortune of information out there. I think one of the challenges is actually understanding what your problem is, and the Mautic error log gives us a lot of insight into what the error actually is.
Yeah, very true. And it works the other way around as well. So if you are not in troubleshooting mode, but just run your server on a day-to-day basis, it still makes sense to have some sort of monitoring on that error log and make sure to catch things when they come up and not only when the system breaks down. And error log and monitoring, big deal. I agree.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yay. So, what else? Jordan, what do you have for us?
Let's keep it simple. I think consistency is key when you take on any project and definitely any task in the system. And just remember that you're communicating with individuals and you want clear and authentic kind of messaging and consistency again. That's what I would say. Yeah, from a user's point of view, sure.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you're hammering this one down because hopefully it'll work, and I mean, people will remember it, and it's so important. And then you see
that's the thing, right? It's so interesting. It always makes me laugh that people send out communication and they actually get a response. People come back and actually visit and purchase sometimes.
Crazy. Yeah.
And it's like such an amazing thing. But do it consistently, and you'll get consistent customers that will be hold long-term value. It doesn't matter what industry or vector you're sitting in.
One of the top things that Jordan has always said to me and to our clients is a very, very simple sentence: top of mind. You always want to be top of mind with your clients, with your customers. And that constant communication keeps you top of mind. That's it.
Okay, then where can people find you online? Maybe we'll start with Jordan.
LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all the places we shouldn't be. Okay. But LinkedIn is definitely a favored professional connection point, I think. And
Yeah. Okay, I put that in the show notes and Surge Media website as well, of course. And Mike, I know
surge.media. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the actual URL, right? Surge.media.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, do people have trouble figuring that out? Do they add a .com or something, or is it easy enough?
No.
Search Console would tell us that everything is good.
Okay. Mike, I know you are Mike W. on the forums. Where else will people find you?
That's correct. So, first and foremost, obviously through our website, on the Slack forum, on the Slack channel as well. I think I'm Mike W. over there, on the forums, and obviously LinkedIn. I think that's probably it. I try be as active as possible on the forums, helping people out and getting them excited and dependent on Mautic itself.
Excellent. Okie doke. Thank you very, very much for today. That was quite a round trip and a lot of gems in this conversation alone. And thanks for helping the gems in Mautic.
Great, man. Thanks.
Talk to you soon in the Mautic community somewhere, for instance, about crowdfunding. Good point.
Yeah.
And maybe we also meet at Mauticon next month, maybe.
Yeah. We need to. We need to. We've always played with the idea. Ruth's asked a few times, and we need to actually contribute a little bit over there. Maybe do a talk or something as well.
Excellent.
Great, man. We really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Ja, ich kann Jordan da nur zustimmen. Eine Sache, die er meinte, das Thema Marketing ist auf jeden Fall etwas, wo man Konsistenz braucht, was ein Prozess ist, wo man dran arbeiten will. Man hat nicht jetzt Marketing durchgespielt, sondern man kann an vielen Stellen weiterarbeiten. Das ist sicherlich eins der Highlights aus dem Interview für mich.
Ja, man merkt, glaube ich, deutlich, wie wichtig ihm das ist. Er hämmert ja immer drauf rum. Und das kann ich auch echt nur bestätigen.
Dann noch ein paar News. Das erste ist Mautic und PowerTick, die waren zusammen auf der, oh Gott, das kann ich gar nicht aussprechen, Latin American Festival of Open Source. Die Abkürzung kriege ich gerade nicht hin. Das war schon im April. Dazu findet ihr auch einen kleinen Bericht, einen Link von PowerTick selber in den Shownotes.
Genau. Die Abkürzung heißt FLISOL, oder?
FLISOL, ja.
FLISOL. Habe ich auch noch nicht gehört, aber okay. Open Source Festival normalerweise, also geplant war es für Kuba. Da wäre ich dann auch hingefahren.
Ah ja.
Nee. Diesmal war es in mehreren Städten, aber natürlich online und daher super auf YouTube zu sehen.
Mhm.
Genau. Und dann ist ein weiteres Online-Event im Anflug, nämlich unsere Mautic-Konferenz steht vor der Tür, nicht mehr lange hin. Naja, einen Monat noch, ja? Gar nicht mehr lange. Ich bin schon
geht schneller als man gucken
aufgeregt.
Kann.
Genau. Die Talks stehen natürlich schon längst fest, kennt ihr bestimmt schon alle. Wir brauchen immer noch Helfer, das heißt, wer zum Beispiel als Tracklead, als Moderator für den deutschen Track ein paar Stunden Zeit erübrigen kann, der wäre sehr, sehr willkommen. Kontaktiert einfach mich. Und es gibt auch noch Sponsorship-Plätze. Ich glaube, einige Kategorien sind schon ausgebucht, aber andere sind noch frei. Ist vielleicht auch ein guter Einstieg, um in dieses Mautic Community Partner-Programm reinzukommen. Oder ansonsten was fürs Karma zu tun, um das nochmal zu wiederholen.
Ganz genau.
Also es wird eine richtig coole Konferenz. Wir haben super Vorträge und ich freue mich sehr drauf. Und ich glaube, der Kartenvorverkauf ist auch schon bald, aber naja, die werden schon nicht ausverkauft sein.
Na, ja, genau, Daumen hoch.
Ja.
Daumen hoch.
Gut, so, nun zu guter Letzt will ich euch auch noch verraten, wer heute bei mir ist. Ich habe nämlich gar nicht gesagt, hallo Thomas.
Mensch, hallo Eckart. Fangen wir nochmal neu an.
Nee, das machen wir jetzt nicht. Nein, also Thomas Esters war wieder bei mir heute. Trotz großen Eingespanntseins in Kundenprojekten gerade, hat er mal wieder die Zeit gefunden. Vielen Dank dafür, Thomas.
Das entspannt ja hier.
Ja, ne?
Na.
Ja, machen wir morgen wieder?
Ja, machen wir morgen wieder.
Nein, ich freue mich aufs nächste Mal. Vielen Dank fürs Zuhören. Wie immer, empfehlt uns weiter, gebt uns Sterne, gebt uns Tweets, was auch immer. Und wir hören uns in Kürze auf dieser Welle, Frequenz, Kanal, whatever. Macht's gut, stay safe, bis bald. Tschüss.
Tschüss.